Well, you can call it October Madness. The brackets are out. It's not going to be easy for Ashwaubenon. What about Hortonville? They're only a 3-seed west of here in Wapaka. Could they meet again in the postseason? And who is this year's dark horse? That and more. You're watching the High School Game Time Bracket Special.
They're coming in from far and wide, filled with team spirit and hometown pride. All fired up from the big pepper rally last night. Hear the marching band playing the fight song. Teams charging the field, ready to get it on. Cheerleaders working up the crowd with all their might. That's what I love about a high school football Friday night.
Well, welcome into the High School Game Time Bracket Special here with prep expert Doug Ritchie. Doug, I'm glad we could pull you away from your desk. He's been poring over the brackets, analyzing them all day. You need some coffee or something?
No, I'm okay. The seeing the brackets gets me going, so I no coffee for me.
It's natural. All right.
That's
well,
right.
Let's tell you what we got coming your way tonight here on the High School Game Time Bracket Special. We got a complete breakdown talking all the divisions, where your favorite team is playing, who they're playing, Doug's dark horses. Who's that team like Freedom last year that could make a run from a low seed? Plus, we're going to tell you where we're going to be live on Fox 11 for our Level 1 playoff High School Game Time Game of the Week. Now, the WIA, we're talking about coffee. They've apparently switched from decaf to regular. They released the playoff field last night, what, around midnight?
Around midnight, the field came out, and then the pairings or the pools came out about 2 hours later.
The pools late at night, then the brackets this afternoon. They've been going. Let's start things off telling you the 6 area teams who claimed 1 seeds in the playoffs. In Division 2, it was Ashwaubenon and Oshkosh North. D3 was Wapaka. D4, Roncalli. D6, a pair of teams, Shiocton and St. Mary Springs. You'll notice, Doug, no 1 seeds from our area in Division 1. Appleton North, they were able to earn a 2 seed in the playoffs in Division 1. Bayport, they're a 3 seed in the same group. They could end up meeting in the second game.
And then no surprise there, 5 of the last 7 years, they have met in the playoffs, and Bayport has lost, or Appleton North has won 4 of those. So these teams have a tendency of meeting in the D1 playoffs. Hopefully it happens again, because if they do, that means they both win Level 1.
Could be a good game of the week candidate. Let's take a look at some of those brackets. We'll have a lot coming your way tonight. In Division 1, this is Group A, involving a lot of those area teams. Up top, you got Hudson. They're the 1 seed. Green Bay Preble going to have to go on the road to Wausau in their first game. You got Bayport and Appleton North. Preble might have cost themselves a home game with some late losses.
Yeah, I think the Notre Dame loss 2 weeks ago is why they're on the road. Otherwise, probably flip that 4 and 5 around.
Elsewhere in Division 1, in what they're calling Group B, B as in boy, Arrowhead is your number 1 seed. You got Manitowoc there on the 4 line. They get a home game in the first round. Fond du Lac, you think it's a sneaky good team here at 6?
Fond du Lac, sneaky good, plays in a good lead, and as they've played this year, they've gotten a little bit better, and I think obviously a 6 seed, people say, well, we'll see.
We will see. And let's just be honest here for a second, Doug. You don't see a ton of deep playoff runs in Division 1 from Northeast Wisconsin. Southwest, they came kind of close against different division, but
yes.
Sorry about that. A little mix up there. A lot of brackets today. Division 1 though, could this be a different year?
I think it's going to be hard because we saw in that division, there's a team named Arrowhead in that division, defending state champs. That's going to be tough to get through. But Appleton North's a good team. It doesn't beat itself. The problem is everyone thinks about Appleton North and their big game this year. Kimberly waxed them. But, both Appleton North and Bayport very good, and I've seen them both. And if you give them an opportunity, they might take it.
They both played tough competition.
Yes.
We'll see if that pays off. Now, to Division 2, Kimberly, they were number 1 in the Fox 11 Top 11 all year long, start to finish. What do they get rewarded with? 2 seed.
2 seed.
2 seed.
2 seed. They've beaten everybody by 50 points.
Life's not fair. Not only a 2 seed, Doug, but they're in the same group as perennial powerhouse team Homestead. No favors done. They might have been the best team in our area this year, and they're a 2 seed.
They are the best team in the area. They're the number 2 seed because Homestead's the defending state champs. That works in the seeding meeting and saying, hey, we're undefeated. We won state last year. We get number 1. So level 3, if Kimberly gets that far in Homestead, they got to go down to Homestead, which is unfortunate for us.
Not going to be easy. Papermakers, Steve Jones, they feel like they're built for the playoffs.
We always have a good offensive line, well-coached offensive line, good run game. But I think this year, we're pretty balanced. We have a lot of playmakers on the edge and a pretty good quarterback throwing the ball right now. We still have our running game. So, I'm happy with how we're playing, but like I said, still have things to clean up.
It's pretty cool to see what we have to go through, and it's just a pretty anxious day to see where we'll end up. It's fun playing teams again, but it's also nice to play new teams.
Here's a look at Kimberly's bracket. You got Homestead looming large there up top. Kimberly at the 2 seed on the bottom. Do they feel pretty confident they're going to make it to see Homestead in level 3, Doug?
Well, Cedarburg's really good. Cedarburg 2 losses this year, but it's the Homestead and Arrowhead.
Good team.
So yeah, they haven't lost anybody tough or anybody easy. So the Kimberly Cedarburg's a sneaky tough game.
That's going to be a tough one. We'll see if Kimberly can make a little run there. Elsewhere in Division 2, another undefeated team from our area gets the respect they deserve. Gets the 1 seed, and that's Oshkosh North, kind of flying under the radar this year.
A little bit flying under the radar because in the VFA right away you think Kimberly,
Yep.
and then sometimes Appleton North. But Oshkosh North, they're 9-0.
Yeah, and they finished off Marshfield. They got Nate Nevue, so they claimed that outright conference title. And this is a team, hey, maybe they can make a little bit of noise. Let's take a look now at their bracket. They get Slinger in their first game. This is a look at Oshkosh North in Division 2's Group B. Anybody jump out there as a challenger for North?
Yeah, Holman has been good in the past, but they're a 4 seed. I think with Oshkosh North not being a quote-unquote perennial playoff deep run, they don't make those deep runs. You just got to watch them, but they'll take care of Slinger. I like the road right there that we see.
Well, you know what? They don't mind this in basketball.
Absolutely.
They're fine kind of getting that high seed. People overlook them a little bit. We'll see if Oshkosh North can make some noise. Well, in the World Cup in soccer, you sometimes hear the phrase group of death. You hear that seemingly every World Cup, every 4 years. And it's the one group with a bunch of good teams. We might have that in Division 2 with teams from our area. You got Ashwaubenon, Hortonville, Southwest, Menasha. That's tough.
That's real tough, and I've seen all these teams play this year, and if these 4 somehow would play around robin, it could be a toss-up. You'd give Ashwaubenon the favorite. James Morgan makes things happen, but man, these are 4 really good teams.
And you're seeing the Jaguars right here. Are they a team built for the postseason? We heard from James Morgan, the guy who talked about Division I type quarterback, who says the last year didn't go quite as well as this year. That can actually help about now.
And obviously last year team, we struggled a little bit, and I thought that we came together at the end of the year and we were a good team. And this year I think we've kind of carried that on and really pushed ourselves in the offseason, and it's been pretty fun to play on this team and have the success we've had.
We feel like they've really rose to the occasion. We didn't know what we had at the beginning of the season, and every game we've gotten better. The competition's gotten tougher, and we're doing fine.
Okay, so Ashwaubenon's the 1, the 3 seed in this group. 3 seed. Hortonville, undefeated this year, 3 seed. Explain it to me.
Here's my thinking of the WIA's thinking, or the coach's thinking. They play in the Bay, which is mostly a Division III conference.
Yeah.
And I think that worked against him, or it ended up working against him. I saw Hortonville beat West Appear. Hortonville's really good.
Oh, yeah.
Use this as fuel for the fire. They can make a run.
They're not going to be scared of anybody,
No.
this Hortonville team. Let's take a look at that bracket right now. You got Ashwaubenon. They're going to take on Merrill in the first game. Green Bay Southwest and Menasha. Great game right off the bat there. There's Hortonville, and that Southwest Menasha game. That is going to be closely contested. 2 teams, a lot of athletes.
A lot of athletes. I think they're similar. They're not big play offenses, but they know how to score and defend. It'd be really fun to watch that game.
So we had Homestead. They're staring Kimberly down. You got Ashwaubenon in that tough group. A lot of good teams in Division 2 from our area. We got to get one to Madison, right?
God, I hope so. We in D1 and D2, we haven't been really good getting to Madison. In fact, it's been a while. So Kimberly's the last D2 team to play on the turf in Madison. Let's make it a party. Let's get more teams down there and have some fun.
Well, it could be interesting. A lot of really talented teams in Division 2 that could catch fire
Yep.
at the right time. We are just catching fire. Much more ahead here on High School Game Time's bracket special, including Doug's Dark Horse picks for the postseason. I'm looking forward to that.
I am too, actually. But first, we'll talk about brackets loaded with area teams in Division 3. That's after the break here on CW 14.
Well, our thanks to the Notre Dame dance team. Welcome back to the High School Game Time bracket special. We've gone through Divisions 1 and 2 so far. Let's go to D3. There's one 8-team group, Doug, with 5 teams from Northeast Wisconsin in it.
Yeah, and we've talked about this division for the last couple of weeks, if they would all stay in our area, and they did. Good for us, because it's going to be a lot of football that we can watch from local teams, but from the coaching perspective, it's going to be tough.
You saw Waupaca a moment ago. They get the 1 seed. This is West Appear. They're the 2 seed. 1 loss Xavier. They're in this group as well. Xavier ends up with a 3 seed. So 1 through 3, these are all teams that feel like they have a shot to make it in Madison.
And they have every reason to believe it, the way they've played, the way they've scored. And, you know, WPACA, I guess, gets lucky because they're the 1. West Appear and Xavier, if they can win, would face each other in level 2.
That will be tough. Here's a look at the bracket, and as you said, you see at the bottom there, if Xavier and West Appear both win their first game, boy, that would be a rematch of an early season out-of-conference game we've seen before from these two teams.
That's right.
You also got Seymour in there at 5 and WPACA. This is a tough group, Doug. And we mentioned Xavier. They were in our Game Time Game of the Week in our regular season finale. Got a big win Friday night, and they feel like they're looking forward to the playoffs, and they've had a history of doing not so bad in the postseason.
We have a good history of playing well in the playoffs. Our school has a strong tradition, and we take pride in how we play in the postseason. So I'm confident, but at the same time, knowing that we have the hardest region in the state of Wisconsin to deal with is also an eye-opener.
Yeah, it's a strong phrase, but it's also hard to argue right there.
Yeah,
Let's take a look elsewhere in Division III involving area teams. You got Two Rivers earning a 4 seed and a home game. Luxembourg Casco on the 7 line taking on Plymouth. But hey, Two Rivers good for them getting that first game at home.
Absolutely. Good year last year. Maybe they can beat Brown Deer. Greendale, really tough.
And we saw, let's talk about Division III a little bit. We saw WPACA last year make a real deep run. You got West Appear. They know what it's like to play in Madison, albeit with a different cast. Which of these teams do you feel like sets up best to make it down to Camp Randall?
I think they all have their chance if they can play their game, but I'm going to go with West Appear. If everyone's playing their best, I think West Appear is the best team. They got big offensive defensive line. They got playmakers. Chandler Dekvos could be the reason I'm saying this because he can do a lot of things. Dom Conway in the backfield. But you know what? WPACA, you know, they did it to West Appear last year. Xavier's really good, can throw the ball, but I'm going to side with West Appear. I think they're poised to get back to Madison.
And they have a coach who knows who's been there before, and that's
Yep,
invaluable
that's pretty good.
this time.
Absolutely.
When you have to plan week after week, you don't know who's coming up. That could certainly help. All right, more to come here on our high school Game Time bracket special, including revealing our Level 1 playoff Game Time Game of the Week, Doug.
Should be a good one, I bet. But first, several divisions left to break down. We'll break out more brackets after the break here on the High School Game Time bracket special.
Our High School Game Time Fans of the Week for our regular season finale come to us from Manawa, the Wolves. Doug, put you on the spot. Who's your favorite Manawa alum of all time?
You know, that's a really tough one, but I'm going to be a little partial here and go with Jake Tim.
I
know, upset.
We'll let you, our awesome producers behind the scenes of all of Game Time, everything Fox 11 CW14 do. Proud Manawa alum, but unfortunately their season came to an end, but they went down swinging.
That's right.
All right, well, let's move on to Division 4 now. Roncalli High School in Manitowoc, they won a battle of unbeatens this past Thursday night, good enough to earn themselves a 1 seed in Division 4.
Yeah, they got a 1 seed. They're really good. And the ironic thing about Roncalli, they're the Jets, but they run the ball really well. They don't go through the air very much.
Well, Jets are fast.
They're fast, but once they get up in the air, you know, it's a passing game.
Yes, you are correct with that. Now, they're taking on a team in Chilton in the first round. This is a 1-8 matchup, but Chilton played them close this year.
Yeah, Chilton played a 1-8 matchup last year. It didn't work out so well for them as a 1. Maybe it works out well for them in the 8. This is a conference game, and conference favorites don't like these games in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was the Freedom game?
Yes.
Roncalli, though, they're focused going into that 1-8 matchup.
So, well, it's a new season, 0-0 now. We have no wins. We're coming in, we're going to come in hot, and we're going to come in ready to play.
You know, going into this, we were going to be 1 or 2. It doesn't make too much difference. It's probably going to give us home field advantage for the first game. But, you know, I don't think home field makes a difference for high school kids. We've traveled all around the state and played well, you know, wherever you go.
Good attitude. You play wherever you're going to play.
That's right.
Whoever's on the schedule.
It's 100 yards.
Here's a look at the bracket where we find Roncalli and Chilton on those top 2 lines. Winner of that game, it's an interesting one here. Little Shoot and Peshtigo, you got Wrightstown, the 3 seed. And how about Freedom gets Denmark there? Freedom, they got some losses this year. They're still 2 seed.
They're the only 2 seed in the state that has 3 losses.
Okay. They have 3 pretty good losses.
The 3 losses are Hortonville, WPACA, and Xavier. Okay. So I think that helped them out. Yeah, even the losses helped them.
Bigger school losses and Freedom, we know, can make noise in the postseason. Elsewhere, in Division 4 teams from our area, you got Winnicott at number 6, and then number 2, Omro, taking on Watoma. Anything jump out to you from this bracket right here? We got Omro on the 2 line.
Omro, number 2 seed, played pretty good football all year. They had to deal with Springs in the regular season. They could make a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, it might be nice, even though Springs in a smaller division, to just get away away from them for a while. All right, to Division 5 now. We mentioned Roncalli, Kewanee. They actually fell to Roncalli in that Thursday night OP Large title game. They end up with a 2 seed, and they're going to face off with Brilliant in the first round game. That could be kind of interesting. Brilliant, maybe not the Lions team we're used to.
No, but Brilliant, they're one of a few teams this year that made the playoffs under 500 in the conference, but they're 5-4 overall. And again, it's this conference matchup that the favorites always are a little leery of. And you know, Pete Kittle and Brilliant, they have nothing to lose. They probably didn't think they were in the playoffs. Now they got a shot.
And they're in that 7-2 matchup, the poker hand matchup, I like to call it. You got Winnebago Lutheran on the 6th line. Bonduel, they were the ones that beat Manawa, knocked them out of the playoffs. They're on the 5 seed. Okano up at number 8. Bonduel, they're always a team that maybe their style lends itself to the postseason.
Bonduel always makes the playoffs, and you know, I don't know how they're going to do against Cedar Grove, Belgium, but Oostburg might be in for one here because Bonduel they advance when it comes to this time.
And that Brilliant Kewanee game, that'll be one I'm interested in seeing. Let's move on to Division 6 now. You mentioned St. Mary's Springs, the 2-time defending state champs, Bob Hyland's team. They get a 1 seed, as does undefeated Shiocton. And Doug, it seems like every year these two end up playing each other in the playoffs. Are we going to do it again?
Why not? I mean, nothing against Algoma, who's also in this and undefeated.
That's true.
But Springs and Shiocton, I mean, they just hammer everybody every week. And I think a Shiocton-Springs matchup would be really tasty. I think we'd like that one.
Will be interesting to see. Here is Division 6 Group B. There is Shiocton up top. Coleman and Crivets, an all-area matchup, should be pretty fun to watch. You got Iola, Scandinavia, Algoma on the 2 line. Now, we've seen they run the table this season. They end up with a 2 seed. Any reason to complain for them?
No, because Shiocton's the one, and Shiocton's been mowing everybody down. And if you want to go back to past history, Shiocton's had more success. They beat them a couple years ago in the postseason.
Elsewhere in Division 6, this is Group D. You see St. Mary's Springs right there. Reedsville, a team at number 6 that hung with Algoma for a little while, and you got Lourdes Academy there on the 2 line. Reedsville, they hung with Algoma. They lost in that game, but you got some talent in here. It's one of those where you got to kind of see what everybody's got in the playoffs, see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, you know what? It's Springs. They're going to keep advancing until they hit Shiocton, and then we'll have some fun.
That's what.
It's Springs. I mean, how can you doubt a team that's almost won 40 in a row?
You can't. That's why he's the prep expert. All right, more ahead here on the Game Time Bracket Special. I'm interested to know who are Doug's playoff dark horse contenders. Been working on it all day. Any clues?
None at all. You gotta come back. Plus, we'll tell you which team we'll be visiting this Friday for our Level 1 Game of the Week.
Where am I going to go, Doug?
You gotta wait. That's ahead on the High School Game Time Bracket Special.
Welcome back to the High School Game Time Bracket Special. Well, we saw it last year with 8-seed Freedom making it to Level 4. Marinette did it a couple of years ago. Let's talk about Doug's dark horses, teams without great seeds, but still a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. Who you got?
Well, you know, since we talked about Jake Tim's alma mater, I'm going to talk about my alma mater.
Very nice.
Notre Dame, a 6th seed. You know, their losses this year, obviously in a bigger conference. They lost to Southwest on a Hail Mary. They almost beat Ashwaubenon the other night. This team, it could be dangerous. Green Bay Southwest, we know what they've done this year and in the past. And Fond du Lac is the sneakiest out of these teams just because they finished a little bit lower in their conference. But these 3 teams, if you think you're just going to walk over them, maybe not.
And you see Fond du Lac right here, and kind of maybe the theme with Notre Dame and Southwest, good defenses.
Good defenses, hard teams to blow out. They're not going to score 45 points, but they're not going to give up 45 either.
They're going to be in every game, and maybe that's the key as you get into these tough postseason matchups. All right, time now to reveal the High School Game Time Game of the Week for Level 1 of the playoffs. They might not have the best seeds in the world, but these 2 teams, anything but showing mediocrity out there on the field. It's going to be Menasha and Green Bay Southwest. It's the 4-5 matchup, right?
4-5 matchup, 7-2 each of them. Jeremy Korth's team going to Green Bay Southwest. This game's going to be a grinder, I think. I don't think this is 35-31. I think it's more like 21-17. It's going to be a really fun game.
These are going to be great games. And you know what? This is my favorite time of the year. Level 1 and Level 2 of the playoffs. You get the excitement, you get those matchups. This is a great time for football.
Yeah, and we think we know so much, and then upsets happen. Now, in this game, I don't think there's an upset because they're both very evenly matched, but it's going to be fun.
Should be a good one.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Doug Ritchie, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us tonight. That's it for the High School Game Time Bracket Special. Make sure to join us Friday night at 10 here on CW14. Level 1 of the playoffs, all the highlights, tough plays, and much more. From all of us here, hope you have a good night and a great rest of your weekend.